Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Valpo Football Weekly, along with head coach Dave Cicchini. This is Todd Eichow. And Dave, will start first. Take a look back at this past Saturday's ball game against Youngstown State, in which it started like so many games over the past few years, with you guys playing so well in the first quarter, and then obviously there were a couple key plays. I'll let you talk about it, and things sort of snowballed from there.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think we came out and we played some really good football, initially in all three phases of the game, and we were able to get a big score. Griffin Norberg, beat man coverage and went for a 75-yard touchdown to give us the lead. The defense was playing great. Fortunately, there was a questionable targeting call against Joey Diaz-Martinez that we didn't believe was targeting, and unfortunately there wasn't replay in the game, so they couldn't review it. And that was a critical third and long, and really from that point on, we slowly let the game slip away.
A lot of it, obviously, one play can be very big, and there was a huge momentum swing, and it's part of sports. But a lot of it, I thought, as the game wore on, maybe their size, their athleticism, it kind of got to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're a very talented football team. They're big, they're strong, they're fast. They made mistakes throughout the game, which we knew that they would, but they were able to overcome those mistakes. And no question, the physical advantage that they had in size and strength and speed to a certain degree as well, that kind of wore it on us as the game went on.
You talked about the play, Griffin Norberg. Again, it's just a short pass play, just like a week ago, short pass play.
Right. That's
what he brings, the ability to make big plays. And now we've got two games. He's averaging 100 yards receiving per game. I'm sure there's a big effort right now, get on the ball as much as possible.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, he's a big receiver, and he's strong. He's hard to tackle, and then also deceptively fast. I think if you look at the moment he caught that ball, he outran the starting corner and then the starting nickelback for Youngstown State, two pretty talented football players, and they weren't able to catch him.
As the game wore on, it seemed like Chris Duncan was hobbled some and didn't play most of the fourth quarter. Again, another week without Jimmy Seawald, and then it was clear as the game wore on, Chris was not 100% either.
Right. Now, his knee was bothering him pre-game. We knew that he wasn't going to be as mobile, and that's one of the things that he brings, his extra added dimension to the game. He's a great scrambler. We can run some quarterback run stuff with him. So we knew going into the game that we weren't going to have that as part of our playbook, and as the game wore on, Chris's knee really tightened up, and so he's definitely questionable for this week. We're going to see how that swelling goes down in the knee, and obviously Jimmy, we don't know about either. He's still day to day, and so certainly at least at the beginning part of this week, Trey Belinsky, freshman or redshirt freshman quarterback who came in and played the majority of the fourth quarter. He's going to be taking most of the reps and may get his first collegiate start.
So you start with Jimmy Seawald. He hasn't played yet. You go to Chris Duncan, and now he's banged up. You had Ryan Markoff play 2 weeks ago,
right,
and now he's banged up. We're starting to run out of quarter. It's good you have a lot in the program. Maybe go to Trey Belinsky and tell us how he played. I know he's a relatively local kid from Northwood High School who had an outstanding high school career and redshirted a year ago. So he's been in the program. Yes. Some thoughts. He did play in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, he did, and he played well. He's a really smart kid who's an accurate passer. Really had I think a great spring again with Jimmy not taking any reps this past spring. Both he and Chris Duncan were able, I think, to benefit from that, and so he really has, I think, become comfortable in the offense. So he's not like a true freshman. He's been involved with this offense for over a year now, and he really kept his poise out there in the fourth quarter. And if it's his turn for us to kind of put the game in his hands, we feel confident that he'll do a fine job.
But Jimmy Seawald is a lot closer to playing than he was.
Oh yeah, he certainly
ago,
is.
Right?
Yes, he is much farther ahead, and you can see him getting stronger with each passing week. And he's certainly itching to play, and he may get the call as well.
All right, you look ahead now. Here's a Truman State team. They come in 0-3, but just off their past week's performance against Saginaw, They're obviously going to be no pushover. Saginaw, obviously, a solid football program. A team that used to be on Valpo's schedule. I'm one of the few people who remember that back in the 90s, but always very, very competitive. And Truman State nearly beat them. I think Saginaw needed a late touchdown. Tell us about this Truman State team.
Yeah, they are very good. It's a very good Division II team. I mean, 0-3. It's kind of amazing watching how they lost really 2 of their 3 games. Saginaw Valley, they were up by 2 touchdowns. Saginaw Valley made 5 straight 4th down conversions to score 2 late touchdowns to come back and win the football game. I think their last touchdown was scored with maybe 15 seconds to go in the game. So it was an amazing comeback on their part. But Truman is a very solid program. They've struggled a little bit on offense so far this season, but their defense is much improved and has really kind of shouldered the load and are playing very well. It's a tough team, a very physical team. They've got some great athletes. They're just, the difference between them and Youngstown is they're just a little bit shorter and a little bit lighter. That's kind of where the difference is, but it's certainly a dangerous football team.
With your quarterback situation a little bit as a question mark right now, may have Trey Belinsky who's inexperienced. You've got that experienced offensive line, and you've got some guys, obviously Kyle Cartalis, who can run the football. You've got an opportunity to kind of rely on the offensive line to get things done against finally an opponent that's maybe your size or a little bit smaller compared to what you saw the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, no question. And getting a solid run game established, that's going to be one of our priorities for this football game as well. This is an offensive line that has played an awful lot of football together, and they are playing with a fair amount of confidence, and that we're going to need that. Regardless of who's playing quarterback for us on Saturday, we're going to need to have a ground running attack that can take control of that line of scrimmage and get us some consistent plays, consistent first down.
And a year ago, I think you went against Montana and Duquesne in the first couple weeks, and maybe because you were able to kind of play with them, give you a little confidence moving forward as you went against teams more your size, I think. That's one thing that really stood out to me. And the program's gotten bigger, and I mean bigger, the physical, the players have gotten a lot bigger. But still, you've gone against 2 monster-sized lines on both sides in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, and again, we hope that pays dividends this year, like it did last year. You go up against quality competition. It exposes your weaknesses a little bit faster, so you can address that before you get into league competition. It gets your players better. They can't survive unless their technique is perfect, and then they can hang in there, and so it forces you to become a better football team, better on offense, better on defense, better on special teams. I'm a big believer in that. Our players love it as well. They love the challenge of going up against scholarship programs, and I really do think that our last 2/3 of the season a year ago benefited by starting against Montana and Duquesne, and hopefully going up against Youngstown and Duquesne again for this season will bear some fruit down the road.
And you guys had a great run last year on your home field. Let's hope that continues this year. It'd be nice to be back at home.
Absolutely. I mean, Brownfield, a great place to play. I think we're at 4 games in a row, winning at home, and we're looking forward to a big crowd this Saturday.
Good luck on Saturday, Dave.
All right, thanks.
For head coach Dave Cicchini, this is Todd Eichow. Thanks for joining us this week on Valpo Football Preview.